Good morning, everybody. Good to see you guys here. If you were here last week, you know that we started to do a little bit of sharing. Our team got back a few weeks ago from the Dominican Republic. This was our 8th team that had a chance to go down there. Some people were first-timers, and some people have been on there a number of times. Some of us have been on all 8 of those trips. So it's always an amazing opportunity to go down there, and we always love the whole idea of making it personal here. So when we come back, we always give people an opportunity to share a few of the stories, a few highlights, show you some pictures so that you can feel like you were part of that experience with us. So first ones sharing today are Randy and Denise Landis.
Hi, my name's Denise, and I helped in the aquaponics project planting romaine and leaf lettuce. They grow different lettuce plants, celery, and strawberries to provide fresh fruit and vegetables for the kids at the Palo Blanco and Anija schools.
I'm Randy, and I got to play with the adult version of Lego blocks and mud, except these blocks were made of concrete instead of plastic, so I definitely didn't want to drop any on my feet. But it was a different experience, and I'm glad I was able to be a part of that.
This was my first mission trip and Randy's second. 3 years ago when Randy went, I thought, that's good for him, but I'm never going to do anything like that. In the fall of 2014, we started sponsoring a young boy at the Ark, and about a year later, he went back home with his mom and stepfather, and we never got a chance to meet him, and that was kind of sad for me. So a year ago, we started sponsoring 2 sisters at the Ark, Katie and Kimberly, and I didn't want to miss a chance of not getting to meet them. So in the short time that we got to spend time with them, it made me feel like a mom, and it warmed my heart, and at times it brought tears to my eyes, and their hugs were really tight. Really tight, and it went from here all the way to the back. We got to meet their house parents, Jenny and Johnny, and I have a lot of respect for these parents. They have 2 children of their own, plus 8 ARC children living in their house, and I have now added them to my daily prayers. I would highly encourage anyone that doesn't sponsor a child to sponsor a child. And if you sponsor a child and have never been down on the mission trip for the DR, I would highly encourage you to go and visit them. It means a lot to the children, and it would mean a lot to you. I heard one of the missionaries in the DR say that some sponsors never meet their sponsored child. Leaving our children at the Ark on Friday was the hardest day. We all left part of our hearts there behind.
Since we don't have any children of our own, this was the closest we've come to being parents. And Kimberly seemed to be so taken with my personal art that she decided that she wanted to add some of her own, so she took a little magic marker and wrote the word love on my arm. It was hard to see, but it's something I will carry with me the rest of my life.
So our names are Denise and Randy Landis, and we made it personal.
You guys are making me tear up, and I haven't even said a word yet. So, yeah, exactly, rock, emotional rock. Well, I'm Luke, and I have the honor of being the associate pastor here, and which allows me the open door to be able to go on these mission trips. This was my second trip down to the DR, and this first picture you see, this is Winifred. This is the older girl that we sponsor at the Ark, and it was actually last year when we went, we had sponsored a boy named Jiley at Palo Blanco and got down there, and basically God broke me through a presentation from the leadership of Kids Alive, and I wanted to sponsor an older one because I wanted to work with them in order to help them move toward actually making a life for themselves and not getting stuck in the place alone like so many do down there. And it was a real blessing this year. Winifred is a huge soccer player, and she plays in a league with some of the other girls from the ARC and from her school, and I got to make a trip to Santiago to watch her play, and that's where this picture was taken. Was after they won their game 9-1. It's a good team, so that was exciting. Now, what's funny is, I text my wife this picture near the end of the week, and I said, "Hey, honey, how do you feel about a third?" And her response to me was, "How can you do that to me? I'm pregnant right now. How can I say no?" So this is Jomari, and she is actually in our sponsor boy, Jiley. They are actually in the same class. They're both 8 years old and in the 3rd grade. And it was actually on their weekly Awana program, Oansa. They were doing their Awana program, and we decided we'd go in and we'd watch. And so there were 3 or 4 of us in there. And there were 2 girls sitting in front of Chris and I, and they weren't really paying attention to what they said because they kept turning their chairs ever so much, just a little bit at a time. And Jomari just kept smacking me in the leg. And that's what won over my heart. So there's a little bit of a tie here, too. Keith will know this because Keith and his wife, they sponsor Jomari's older sister, Marjorie. So now we've extended into the family here even more with that sponsorship. Now, wait, Larry, don't change the picture just yet. I got to preface this. I'm sure many of you have heard our stories of the trip home. Well, to me, a picture's worth 1,000 words. Thankfully, Chris is not with us this morning. But this is kind of an example of, I think, what we all felt like at some point during the day after spending 9 hours in the airport at Santiago waiting for the new flight that they put us on. But it was also Chris's first trip, as he shared last week. No, I will say that, as funny as that is, we staged it. Like he goes, "Here, take a picture of this." Like we wanted to capture what we probably really felt like on the inside on our trip back. Many of us had our patience tested at the highest level, right, Randy? And many of us definitely have a mad respect then for each other as we handled that day. I would say probably better than what a lot of people would have. We had our rough moments. But it was an interesting lesson that God taught us on the way home as we dealt with all of the issues that happened with that. But overall, despite the humor now that we look back on that day, the trip was absolutely incredible. And I'm going to say that pretty much for the second year in a row now, I've made it personal because now we sponsor 3 kids down there, and I cannot wait for next year and get to go back again.